I thought the weirdest thing about my husband's best friend was how much time he spent at our house, until I caught him in my bedroom, wearing my clothes. When I first met Charles, I knew he had a tight circle of friends, but none closer than Mark. Mark wasn't just a buddy from college, he was practically woven into Charles's life. They texted constantly, had their own inside jokes, and even took guys' weekends a few times a year. I figured it was harmless. After all, friendships like that are rare. At first, I liked Mark. He was funny, warm, and always made an effort to get along with me. He remembered my birthday, brought me coffee when he stopped by, and even helped us paint the nursery when we thought we were going to start a family. But as time went on, I noticed something different, something I couldn't put my finger on. Mark was too comfortable in our home. He'd wander into our bedroom to grab something without asking. He knew exactly where the wine glasses were. And sometimes, I'd come home from work and find him alone in our living room, waiting for Charles, as if he owned the place. Still, I brushed it off. Maybe I was just being paranoid. After all, Charles trusted him, so I should too, right? But the first time I saw Mark wearing my sweater, my favorite cream cardigan, I froze. He claimed it was because he got cold waiting for Charles. I laughed awkwardly and let it go. But something in my gut told me it wasn't just about being cold. After the sweater incident, I tried to shake it off, but Mark's behavior kept raising red flags. One Saturday morning, I woke up to find him in our kitchen, shirtless, making pancakes. Charles was still asleep. Mark claimed he'd just come by early and didn't want to wake us. It felt intrusive. I mean, who comes into someone's house uninvited, rummages through their pantry, and makes breakfast like they live there? Then there were the moments in our bedroom. More than once, I'd walk in to grab something, and there he was, sitting on the edge of the bed, scrolling through his phone like it was no big deal. Charles always brushed it off. Babe, he's family. Don't be weird. Still, I started locking my closet when I wasn't home. Call it intuition, but I didn't like the way his eyes lingered when I wore certain dresses. A few weeks later, I came home from work early. Mark was in the living room, watching television. At first, nothing seemed strange, until I noticed he was wearing my red cashmere sweater. This wasn't an accident. The sleeves were pushed up just so, and it hung on him like it was meant to fit. He smiled when he saw me, a little too calmly. "Oh, Charles told me I could borrow it. Said you wouldn't mind," he said. Except Charles was out of town on business. That's when I noticed something else. The sweater smelled like my perfume. Not just faintly, strongly. Like it had been sprayed deliberately. I didn't confront him right then. Instead, I filed it away. Something wasn't adding up. The next borrowing happened just days later. I was folding laundry when I realized one of my silk blouses was missing. I searched the hamper, the closet, the laundry basket, nothing. That night, I went to the garage to grab a bottle of wine from the rack. Mark's gym bag was sitting by the door. The blouse was inside. I picked it up, and there it was again, my perfume, heavy and unmistakable. I didn't know what to think. Was he attracted to me? Was this some kind of twisted joke? Or was Charles somehow involved? The thought made my stomach turn. 2 nights later, I woke up around 1 a.m. to get a glass of water. As I walked down the hallway, I heard low voices, Charles and Mark, speaking in urgent, hushed tones. I couldn't make out the words, but the tone was tense, intimate. I stopped just around the corner and listened. There was a pause, then a laugh, then a sound I couldn't quite place. Not anger, but not exactly innocent either. When I walked into the living room, they both went silent. Charles jumped up and said, "Hey babe, couldn't sleep?" Mark just smiled, eyes flicking away from mine. Something was going on. I just didn't know what. Yet, the next morning, our elderly neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez, stopped me as I was getting the mail. "Your husband's friend was over again yesterday," she said casually. I smiled politely. "Mark? Yeah, he comes by sometimes." She tilted her head. "He was carrying laundry into your house. Looked like women's clothes. I thought maybe he was helping you out." My stomach dropped. "Oh, yeah, probably," I mumbled, desperate to end the conversation. But inside, I knew exactly what she was talking about. It wasn't just that he was wearing my clothes. Now he was taking them. Later that week, I overheard Charles on the phone with Mark. His voice was low, almost tender. "You can't keep doing that," Charles whispered. "She's going to notice." I froze in the hallway. My heart pounded. Notice what? Mark's muffled voice came through, but I couldn't catch the words. Then Charles said something that made my hands go cold. "I told you, she doesn't suspect anything yet. Just be careful." It was the confirmation I didn't want. They were hiding something from me together. I called my sister, Jessica, and spilled everything. The clothes, the perfume, the strange late-night conversations. Her voice was sharp. "Sam, this isn't normal. Either he's obsessed with you, or there's something deeper going on between them. Either way, it's not okay." Jessica suggested I set a trap. "Leave something out, something you never wear anymore. Spray it with your perfume. See if it disappears." I didn't love the idea of playing games, but at this point, I needed answers. The next day, I laid out a silk robe I never wore, pale blue, expensive, and hard to miss. I sprayed it twice with my signature perfume and draped it over the back of the bedroom chair. Then I left for work early, telling Charles I'd be gone all day. Instead, I parked a few streets away and waited. At noon, Mark's car pulled up. He went inside like he owned the place. 20 minutes later, he came out, robe in hand, folded neatly. He tossed it in his backseat and drove off. That night, while Charles was in the shower, I grabbed his phone. Scrolling through his messages, I found a folder labeled Projects. Inside were dozens of photos of me, but not normal photos. These were Mark, wearing my clothes, my dresses, my blouses, even that silk robe from earlier. In some shots, Charles was taking the photo. I couldn't breathe. My hands shook. This wasn't about attraction to me. It was something darker, stranger. And both of them were in on it. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those photos, my husband, photographing his best friend, parading around in my clothes like it was some sick inside joke. By morning, I'd made up my mind. I wasn't going to cry quietly in a corner. I needed the truth. When Charles came into the kitchen, I slid his phone across the table. "Explain." He looked at the screen, then at me, his face paling. "Sam, it's not what you think." "Then what is it, Charles? Because what I see is you and Mark sneaking around behind my back using my clothes, my things like props in whatever game you two are playing." He opened his mouth to speak, but before he could, the doorbell rang. It was Mark. Perfect. I didn't waste time. "Sit, both of you." Mark glanced at Charles like a guilty kid caught stealing candy. Charles rubbed the back of his neck. Finally, Charles spoke. "It started as a joke. Mark was crashing here after his breakup, and one night he put on one of your sweaters to make me laugh. I took a picture. We kept doing it," Mark added. "It was harmless, Sam. Just stupid fun. We didn't think you'd ever notice." I stared at them. "Harmless? You've been sneaking into my closet, wearing my clothes, photographing each other, and lying to me for months. That's not harmless. That's betrayal." Charles's expression shifted from guilt to defensiveness. "We never touched each other. We never cheated. This isn't about sex, Sam." But then Mark blurted out something that made my blood run cold. "We were going to tell you at the anniversary party." I blinked. "Tell me what?" Charles avoided my eyes. "We were going to make a photo album. As a gag gift." It was so absurd, so insulting, I actually laughed. "You think finding my husband's best friend wearing my underwear is funny?" That was it for me. I stood up, my hands shaking, but not from fear anymore. "I don't care if you think it was a joke. You broke my trust. You turned my personal things into some twisted inside humor, and you lied about it every single time I asked." Charles tried to grab my hand. "Sam, please," I pulled away. "You two can keep your little comedy routine. I'm done being the punchline." I walked out, went straight to Jessica's, and stayed there. It's been 3 months since I left. Charles has sent flowers, emails, voicemails, all full of apologies. I haven't responded. Sometimes I wonder if they're still doing it. Maybe they've moved on to someone else's clothes. Maybe they finally realized how creepy it all was. What I do know is this: trust isn't just about who you sleep with. It's about respecting boundaries, respecting the person you claim to love. And once that's gone, no joke in the world can fix it. If you ever feel that gut-deep unease, pay attention. It's not paranoia, it's your instincts warning you. And mine were right.
Wow, just when you think you've heard it all, right? This one wasn't about late-night texts or lipstick on a collar. It was about boundaries, trust, and a secret so bizarre you almost don't believe it's real. But here's the thing. Whether it's a so-called joke or something darker, when someone treats your trust like a prop in their game, they've already crossed the line. If you were in Samantha's shoes, what would you have done? Walk away like she did? Or try to forgive? Let me know down in the comments. I'm reading them. And hey, if this story hooked you, I've got another one waiting that'll make your jaw drop. Just click here on the screen. I'll meet you over there. Subscribe for more lies and regret stories, and don't forget to like and share. Thank you for watching.